Mm-hmm. What about in the union in the sanitation department? Did you have any feelings about that one way or the
Well,
other?
I think if management had accepted its responsibility and done the things it ought to have done for the people, then there would have been, it wouldn't be a union in there now. But they didn't do it, as a matter
Okay,
of
so
fact.
when they don't do it, then
You have no alternative except to go to a union.
mm-hmm.
You go buy you some leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look in depth and look at the surveys and the work that's been done in this area, and this people get hung up. People always think it's money that causes unions to come in and strike, but this is not true. This competence survey shows that money is about 6th or 7th on the list of priorities of the needs of people when they're working with an organization.
Mm-hmm.
But there's very few people understand this. The public don't understand it at all. They think it's all money.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not the truth of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Old Maslow and his scale just really lays it right in there. If anybody wants to look at his hierarchy, they understand perfectly the needs of people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've got to have enough money to buy some clothes and get a house.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are other needs that are just as vital or more vital.
Mm-hmm. So that I mean, you were not opposed to unionization of the employees.
Oh no, I'm not opposed to unionization. I think it's the only. I think it's tragic that they have to unionize.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the tragedy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you can't get those things that you need and the treatment that you deserve, then you don't have no alternative except to unionize.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really help in the final analysis.
Would you go back then to mid-March? Did it look like this thing was going to drag on forever?
It seemed to be a possibility that they might break this thing at that point in time, and I think if King had not been killed, they'd have probably broke this strike. Because they.
What made you think it was going to break?
The strike?
Yeah.
Well, the garbage service was almost back to normal,
Mm-hmm.
and this, of course, is the key to it. And over a period of time, these people would have been hard pressed. They'd have had to do something to eat, you know, because I'm sure they were watching the welfare rolls and this sort of thing. And strikes have been broken before, you know. And had it not been for the death of King, they would have probably broken this thing.
I wanted to ask you one other thing.
But that's, you know, that's just
doing
a little soothsaying.
Yeah, right,
Who knows?
right.
We've asked, and almost everyone we've talked to, whether you originally saw it really as a labor dispute, or were you personally aware of the racial
the
implications?
sanitation strike was just a vehicle for the much larger problem, in my opinion.
Do you think it grew into that, or do you think that was always there, the racial implications of the strike?
Well, I think it was
Inevitable?
it was just compatible. It's just a matter of whether the sanitation strike was a vehicle he used or something else that would have occurred at some point in time. I don't think there's a question that how the black people felt
You
as
feel
a mass.
there was unrest
Oh,
in the black
yeah,
community
the
that had never been.
sanitation strike was just the vehicle that was used to vent the other ire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's it just happened to be handy, and it was a vehicle, and it was used.
It was a problem looking for
The
a
sanitation strike almost got lost in the thing before it was over with.
Would you say that the police department played into their hands when the macing occurred at Goldsmith, in a sense?
They
They
supplied them some real good ammunition. Well, I say ammunition. It certainly didn't help the matter at all. I think it worsened the situation insofar as the relations of the police department. But of course, you know, the people have to understand that when they settle the problems with the police department, that this is not the panacea. It's not going to settle all the other problems of housing and health and education.
Obviously, just as when they settled the sanitation strike, it didn't
well, of course
problems,
it,
you know.
it never will. But
how good was your information coming in on what there was of black militancy here through that summer of '67?
Excellent.
Did you
Oh, 67? No. We had no information of any until 68.
Mm-hmm. Did you really, during the strike itself? I mean,
well, we had good intelligence during the entire strike.
Did
We
you
knew
really,
everything that
did
they
you
were
really
doing.
regard it as an important element of the strike?
What,
The group of militants?
No.
when I'm talking
No.
about, when I'm saying militants, I'm talking about the younger guys, the
No.
20-year-olds, the 21.
Well, of course, they created a lot of sensationalism, but
Mhm.
I don't think I think that the matter would have gone on. The militants, be damned. They didn't make any difference whether they were there or not there.
Just kind of muddied it up a little bit.
They muddied it up. That's really what they did.
Yeah.
They didn't really help either side. They hurt.
Yeah.
Because if the wage that they were paying sanitation people, and that's just talking about the sanitation strike, if you'd have got this loud and clear to the majority of the people in this community, there would have been a question about them paying them more money. I guess that wouldn't have been an issue at all. So,
Did you have any thoughts about the role of the press during this period?
well,
they
they have a most difficult job, and people have to understand this. The police are in a similar position as the press a great deal of the time, in that they have to go in and become involved in all sorts of situations that they have absolutely no expertise in, and they've got to try to make some sense out of the thing, and the press is in this position.